Remember, Thika Road is traffic. How is Langata Road, Wayaki Way, among other roads as we continue. But so far, Steve Mwema, courtesy of at Matri Routes, says at NTC_Kenya, at NMS_Kenya, at Nzoika Waita, it is hard to watch the government's incompetence in enforcing simple traffic laws. And from what I get, ladies and gentlemen, is we have traffic laws. But the problem then comes, the disconnect then comes when people like Steve Mwema say it's probably the government's incompetence. Who is responsible for first coming up with these laws? Who is involved? And how then do we implement them? There's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, of course, in private practice here this morning to help us shed light on the perspective, legal perspective on road safety. Do you have questions? I know the most common question is, why do the traffic police get into our cars when they stop us, they ask us to pull over in the CBD? It's been an uproar. And first, I want to understand, there's a law for it, all right? What does the law say? Who's on the wrong? So today, ukishikwa, you don't complain again, all right? There's so many questions you have. Send them. We're live on Facebook. And Mr. Enoch is smiling and is ready for you. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
I mean, I told people it's still that moment you meet someone for the first time in the year.
Yeah.
But it's going to fit time with time. The Happy New Year is going to fit with time.
Yeah, that's the greetings at the moment.
That's the greeting at the moment?
Yeah.
So I should have started with Happy New Year, new viewer. And a lot of Kenyans are just, looking forward to your sentiment.
Yeah.
The Arrival Live segment, just kicked off with the morning drift when we started.
Yes.
It was very important for us to look at one of the things that is very key to our lives. When we count basic needs and human rights, we talk about education, shelter, food, clothing. I think there's a fifth one. Which one is the fifth basic care?
The basic care. We began with food, shelter, education, health, healthcare. Yeah. The other one is lost.
It keeps. It's like we are in that same space, but I wish among them there would be road safety.
Road safety.
Yeah. Because every time we're applying that route, we're on the air. We are traveling to those destinations to get the food.
Yeah.
We are traveling to get the education. We are using the roads every single day. But is it a basic right? Is it actually a human right? Because I feel it is a human right to be safe on the roads, to feel secure on the roads, to be able to move from A to B safe and arrive alive.
To be safe is, okay, you have the right to life.
Yes.
And the preservation of life. Yeah, so, and road safety works towards preservation of that life.
Okay.
So failure to which, if your safety is threatened, then your life or your health is threatened. So it's a long shot, but affects you directly because you are likely to lose your life or to get disabled because of road hazards. Yeah.
Which can be dealt with.
Yes.
Which then I believe the government should set aside a certain amount of money, just like any other, pillar of the agenda, is to ensure that these roads are safe, infrastructure is worked on, which then means that's why the authorities that are in place are constitutional.
Yeah, it's a multi-sectoral approach, and everyone has a role to play. As we always say, the laws are in place to guide us, to give us limits, the do's and don'ts.
Okay.
But the most important thing is the culture, because we break laws every day, and we think we take it for granted. Yeah, we have very good laws in place, but we break them. So the most important thing, in my opinion, is that we need to change the culture on road safety.
Okay.
It begins with me, begins with you. The public transport sector in Kenya is so unregulated.
So unregulated?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you find that the chaos on the roads, there is total disregard to the law, to the regulations in place, even the the government agencies, to some extent, they have laxity in their implementation.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And that is you agreeing with our tweet, the last tweet that I, of course, highlighted at Mathri Roots, where somebody, allow me to read it again, that is at Steve Mwema. Good morning, Steve. And, of course, we appreciate your response to at Mathri Roots. And, again, the tweet says at NTSA_Kenya, at NMS Kenya, at Nzoik Waita, it is hard to watch the government's incompetence in enforcing simple traffic laws. Mr. Enoch, our advocate,
Chisengo,
Enoch Chisengo.
Yes, yeah.
Let's start with, you have said really, you know, that we have very good laws, but maybe we as Kenyans don't really know which laws these are. Which particular articles in the Constitution cover this? Are there different codes? Maybe you shed that light first, break them down. I mean, the 5 main ones, or if there's more, that Kenyans just need to know exist as we speak.
Majorly, okay, the Constitution is the mother of all laws, but on road safety, we have the Traffic Act, which is the main act. It stipulates the offenses and the penalties when you break traffic laws. It also has the traffic laws, and it stipulates also how one the procedure of becoming a driver on Kenyan roads, the age limits. There are age limits where one cannot be given a driving license. That's below the age of 16. You cannot even be given a rider's driving license.
Yes.
Then the age of below the age of 18, you cannot be given the driving license for the motor vehicle. Yeah, and for PSV, 24 years, and you should have been a driver for at least 4 years.
So that's the experience period.
Yeah, so that's the experience period. So these laws are in place. And you find that we have the NTSA Act. The NTSA Act actually came in place as a government response or compliance to the United Nations Decade Action on Road Safety. That is between the year 2011 and 2022. The purpose was to bring down road fatalities by half by the year 2022.
We're here?
Yes, we are here. Yeah, so NTSA basically came in. It's a very good agency to promote road safety, to promote road education, to bring about road safety mainstreaming in government, where government drivers are also supposed to be taught on the road awareness, road safety awareness, and also be appraised and be rewarded. They have incentives and disincentives for those who break traffic rules. And even public servants, because we have public servants who are drivers, employed as drivers, and public servants who are employees of government, and they have their own vehicles. But in my opinion, I think this one should be even stretched to private sector and to private motor vehicle users, so that the culture is inculcated. The road safety culture, the road user responsibility is inculcated in all Kenyans. So that when you see the lights, you don't stop because there's a cop. You stop because it's red.
Let's start with that.
Yes.
Let's start with Kenyans doing things because they fear the cop.
Yeah.
All right. We'll come back to that. Let's start with the incentives. I see lack of motivation to actually do what you're saying. Stop because the light is red. There is some disconnect there. What are these incentives? Do drivers even know about it? They seem more demoralized than they are to be part of achieving road safety. From what we see, from what we observe, it's never really in the agenda.
You earn points on your driving license, so you are rated. Every time you renew your driving license, you need to be given like stars, the 2-star, 5-star, based on how well you've been disciplined on the road for the past 1 year or 3 years, depending on the period that you you've been holding the driving license.
Okay.
Then the law also allows the traffic officer at the level of a superintendent and above to apply for the withdrawal of your driving license in the event where you blatantly break traffic rules, or you cause fatalities.
Interesting.
So the reward is by increasing your competence. You know, when you have like 3-star, it means you are a driver.
And what does this mean for you? When you're a good driver, what does this mean for you?
It encourages you. You know, human beings love reward.
Okay.
Be it monetary or be it non-monetary. So human beings love appreciation. When I told you are looking good, you feel more confident.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about one of the things that I mentioned that Kenyans have a concern about. A lot of times you see in the CBD, you know, let me talk to the viewer, you've either been that driver or you've been a passenger in that car. When the driver goes against the traffic, you know, lights, and he wants to, you know, with drivers you do, try to, you know, go past the police for some reason. Sometimes they get away with it, sometimes you don't, and the police probably asks you to pull over. And then they ask to come into your car. Now, what we have heard on tweets and, you know, on a lot of things on social media we've been tagged on is it is then illegal for the traffic police to get into your car. According to Kenyans, then he should direct you which police station to take the car.
Yes, you're right.
And this is just basically what, you know, we pick from the air. We need to hear your legal perspective on this. What actually should happen? What does the law say?
When you are asked to pull over because maybe you have violated traffic rules, the police is supposed to direct you to the police station. You know, your car is your private space, and the police can only enter your car if they have reasonable suspicion that you are maybe carrying maybe something dangerous, be it a weapon, be it contraband goods or drugs.
All right.
Yeah, they can come in for purposes of investigation, and they should have reasonable belief that you are, you know, carrying those things in your car.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you are suspicious enough, if they can justify why they entered your car, it is allowed. But where the police just jumps into your car and asks you to drive, and you don't know where they are taking you, that one is illegal, and at the same time it's immoral.
Okay.
So, yes. So the police should just direct you to the police. Even towing your car when you are there is also illegal.
All right.
You should just drive. If the car is in a state that it can move, it should be directed to the police station. Drive, they can escort you.
They can escort you.
Yes.
My question, therefore, is for this both, you know, sides, the driver and the police, what does the law then say is the penalty? Because what the situation is when this driver is going past the police on the roundabout, the other road users are at risk. That's one thing we're looking at. You could cause whatever accident, you could hit whatever pedestrian. You're going against the light. That is putting those other people at risk. We need to understand if you do that, what is the penalty? And also, how then does a driver protect themselves when it comes to a situation, or how do they address the situation whereby the police has come against the law at them? There's just two angles.
Okay, number one, on the issue of failing to pull over or failing to obey a uniformed traffic police officer, there is a penalty. I think it's 5,000, but we can confirm the quantum.
All right.
Yeah, it's an offense failing to stop when asked to stop by the police officer. It's an offense. And now when it's a tricky situation when the police comes, because, you know, the police at that time, they are holding power, and you maybe as a driver, you believe you have broken the law, or maybe your car is not in a good condition.
Okay.
So Kenyans will panic and they will allow the police to enter the car.
Yes.
But, you know, you have the right to lock your car.
Okay.
And the police should not even take your key. You can hold on the key and ask them as polite as possible.
Okay,
you
as
don't
polite.
become confrontational. Yeah, you tell them that I'm aware you should not enter my car.
All right.
Let me know the offense I have committed, the traffic offense I've committed, and the consequences thereof.
Okay.
Yes.
One more, or pretty much close to the last thing we want to discuss, is idea of seat belts, first aid kits. We've had those discussions with the road safety ambassadors. Keep talking about it in the medical practitioners, and we have discovered that since the demise of course, the Honorable Michuki, may he so rest in peace, there's pretty much not much enforcement around that.
Yes.
We hear a lot of crackdowns here and there, but what does the law really say? Because and then what does the law say about bribery?
Okay, bribery is an offense.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Bribery is an offense.
Yeah.
But Kenyan drivers, I began by saying the culture.
It's a culture. And
maybe I would take the opportunity maybe to ask the government, maybe the president, to declare corruption a national disaster, because it is what is eating us most.
Okay.
Leave alone even the seat belts. Even most of the drivers on Kenyan roads have not gone through the training.
So they're already illegal on the road?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
It's possible that we have drivers who have bought licenses,
okay,
and who is selling the licenses, the government agency entrusted with certifying drivers and issuing them with the licenses when they are satisfied that these drivers are well trained and safe to be released to the public.
We're about to take a break.
Yes.
But I'm asking myself, are these cases in court? Because we've had overloads of files in court, but so there's land disputes, family disputes. Are there road safety issues in court that are actually addressed?
There are so many. If you walk to Miliman law courts today, the traffic courts, you will find that it's full.
All right.
Yes. Mostly, the penalties, fines, or imprisonment, or both.
Okay.
Yeah, so the courts will give you the fine. You'll pay the fine. We have the first offender, the fine would be a bit lower. The second and subsequent offender, the fine is enhanced, and even the prison term is enhanced.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's there. But the fines are not as much as, they are not as punitive as they ought to be. Most of them are the range of 1,000 and 10,000. We have those offenses where it can attract 100,000, like causing death by careless driving. It can go in for 10 years, reckless driving, all those offenses. But you walk to court, most offenders will plead
not guilty? Oh, they plead guilty.
Okay. And they are prescribed the penalty. Then they pay their court fine and they walk out.
So what we're seeing here is that it is not as heavy as it should be. So it's giving the, I would say, quote unquote, reckless, drivers, or some of our road safety ambassadors have said car movers or vehicle movers, a leeway.
Yes.
So that's why it's a bit, they can break it and, pay it very little money and go back reckless on the road. Yeah,
I would say that the most deterrent thing would be the courts to become more strict. Jail road users, withdraw their driving licenses, so that the rest of us can learn and say that, hey, look, this thing is serious. Yeah, it's serious, and I would lose my driving license. I would be jailed. Imagine going in even for 3 months. Yeah, it really would weigh down on you.
We want to continue with this conversation. We'll take a very short break, and I want to urge the viewer to ask questions, because we have 10 more minutes after this break to just understand deeper questions, because I wouldn't ask questions for you back at home, but you've been in a situation where you felt either harassed and you do not know how to actually proceed after that. You're still probably dealing with a case which you feel could actually use ADR, alternative dispute resolutions, because it depends on what you've gone through on those particular situations. So we will come back and discuss if the ADR actually works in situations on roads, because lives are lost, right? People are, disabled or made to be able differently depending on what situation was there. And Mr. Enoch Chisengo is really here. You're giving us a little bit of your time to just answer some of your questions. So I know Amuyu Karaoke is awake. Mr. Orotet is already asking questions. David Kahara on that legal perspective. But before we go, I want to, of course, ask you, just generally, if the judiciary, plays a part in amendment of some of these laws, because you've said this has to be done, do you guys have a voice on road safety and bill and policy making?
Okay, the judiciary does not amend laws, but
do you propose?
Yeah, you can propose through decisions of the courts and propose to Parliament to amend sections of the law that maybe are not as strict as possible. Yeah, but the most important thing, and NTS is trying on this, is that road safety mainstreaming.
Okay.
That is, I don't know how it's implemented in, because I was reading about it. It's a very noble thing.
Okay.
If all government officers, public officers, and the drivers, and even private car owners are trained on road safety culture, observing speed limits, belting up, inspection of the vehicles, servicing of the vehicles, those things, then we could reduce road safety. And then the other thing I saw was that
we could improve road safety.
Yeah, we also bring in the issue of integrated road using, road user instead of segregation.
Okay.
Whereby we have pedestrians, motorists, and cyclists on the road. It would reduce road safety. But now that one now brings in congestion and speed and congestion, and people feel now that they are being delayed, and so when you're anxious, it could also cause accidents. When
you're anxious, it could cause accidents.
Yes.
If you do know for sure, I want to take a short break. The Kenyans have this thin line of I fear the law, and then again, the law just doesn't work. So we're coming back with more discussions. Yes, it's an attitude that is in the country. So all the drivers who are watching this morning, motorists, pedestrians, and of course we also want to look at when a pedestrian is crossing, when it is not showing green on your side. Maybe we also have to pay. We have penalties. Coming back after this short break, you're watching the Arrival Live segment. Wake up somebody who's about to get into trouble unless they understand the law. We'll be right back. Good morning. We appreciate your feedback. Thank you for streaming live on Facebook. Ask us your questions and your concerns on law and road safety. A lot of you are already awake, and I don't want to take so much of your time. This is The Morning Drift. My name is Anki Dorisambat, and I am having an amazing conversation with the advocate of High Court of Kenya. That is Mr. Advocate Enoch Chisengo. So let's hear your questions real quick, and I've seen a lot of you awake, and just the very key questions, of course, from Muyu Kariuki saying good morning, and she has a question. She says, what the law says, innocent until proven guilty. For this reason, driving licenses for the offenders of law, as you have said, are not withdrawn, and we have many known cases where crashes and death was caused by drivers' carelessness, that is drunk driving, but the said drivers, she says, are still driving on the roads because the cases are still in court. What is the legally right position here?
Well, it's a process. The traffic police officer needs to apply to court for the withdrawal of the driving license. Okay. And the court, of course, after at examination, because the legal position of innocent until proven guilty is very integral in the preservation of your freedom. If when a driver causes a crash, investigation has to be undertaken. Okay. Maybe there was a fault on the side of the vehicle or something. Then once they are proven guilty, the police officer will apply for the withdrawal of the driving license, and the court will withdraw after, of course, that application is heard. And
so my concern is, I'm sorry to interject,
no
before
problem.
They are proven guilty, they're still on the road?
No. Well, you'll be on the road because you have not been proven guilty. So you're not guilty. You'll be on the road.
Okay.
Yes.
Very interesting there, Wamuyu. I hope you have received that response on why we still have these reckless drivers on the roads. We'll have a deeper conversation around it as well, on why they are still on the road, because other offenders are either held, you know, for a period of time as investigations continue. And this is a number of lives being lost on the road, including children. However, another question here from, of course, Mr. Worotet. He says, what are the penalties of distracted driving, like phone use? And now that's a really in thing right now. Using your phone, and we've seen police also having, you know, to stop you. What do you have to say about this? Are there penalties on distracted driving?
Yes, the fine for phone use is 2,000 bob. Using your phone while driving is 2,000 shillings.
All right.
Yes.
It is 2,000 shillings as we speak, but someone could be hit. Yes. And that's where the next question is coming in. And Kenyans are watching, and this is not Enoch's, you know, law. This is the Constitution as we speak when it comes to road safety. Yes. So if you're caught texting or driving, and it's very easy. How many people can chuck that 2,000 and get back on the road is a question we're asking this morning. Also, hit and run, because it's very easy to hit somebody when you're distracted, all right? So hit and run is common. Why is it that no one has ever been jailed for killing with mobile? That is a question from Mr. Oworotet. Again, hit and run, and most of us have lost loved ones, children on the hit and run. I don't know what you have to say about that. And he, according to him, he says no one. Okay, I don't know if this is data from the judiciary, you know, corridors, but you would tell us that no one has ever been jailed for killing with the mobile.
Well, I don't know whether our good viewer has the statistics on the same, but hit and run, most drivers, you know, it's an accident, and at the moment they feel scared and the flight comes in. Okay. But the police, we have cameras on the road. If the police can, they investigate.
We have CCTVs on our roads, yes, Kenyan roads.
Yes.
Okay.
They work. They can investigate and circulate the number plate. Nowadays, it's very easy to arrest a driver. I was once hit by a matatu, and they ran away, and I went to Central Police Station and reported. 2 days later, he was apprehended. So it is true that the police are arresting those people, but of course we have so many other things in play, including bribery, that would and then set them free. Okay. Yes. And
we were going to talk about the ADR, but before that, let's just appreciate saying with such petty fines, therefore, then we, the trainers, have a lot of awareness to do and encourage safety, because the courts don't see it as serious. Do you confirm that then the courts are not taking this seriously? Which you said earlier on, they're taking it seriously, but probably need to enforce maybe heavier.
Yeah, you know, the courts do not make laws.
All right.
Yes, so the courts interpret laws. Parliament makes laws. So I think Parliament should review the traffic laws and maybe enhance the penalties.
Okay.
Yes.
So we are speaking to the Legislative House at the moment.
Yes.
What are you doing about the traffic laws, about the enforcement, the penalties, and the codes that govern road safety this morning as we speak? We're about to wrap up, but of course, House Call Medix watching this morning. Good morning, saying, good morning, Anki, I like this. And honestly, these accidents should be investigated. Like you said, the investigation, and everyone needs to educate themselves on safety. We are happy for a platform like this, very informative, and of course appreciating Mr. Worotet. She's saying, I love what you do. Please keep it up. You have our support. Thank you very much. Now, keep sending in your questions. Of course, Wamuyu Karaoke says, picked this from Atma 3 Roots. And of course, thank you for highlighting it. Says, politics allowed matatus and now do this to outgrow enforcement. First, I'd love to hear from you that you would confirm that they have outgrown, which is very sad, enforcement. Now, these two groups operate with blatant disregard of the law with the utadu mentality, of course, via at DI_Malesi. Is it what it is?
Well, that is the sad state of affairs. You use the road, I use it, and you know how the public transport is so chaotic at the moment. there is no enforcement. They use the road as if they own it,
Okay.
including cyclists, the Nduthis.
Boda.
Yeah, boda. They ride on either side of the road. They overtake from any side.
Which is illegal?
Which is illegal.
Okay.
And they are never arrested.
All right.
Yeah, so I think there's laxity on the part of the traffic police officers in enforcing traffic laws, especially in public transport sector. And it's a sad state of affairs because most of the fatal crashes are caused by public transport. Drivers who are overworked, the SACCOs mismanage the drivers are anxious, they are stressed, distracted on the road. They hit, when the vehicle is grounded on the road, they don't tow it.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
So we're putting the traffic police, not really saying on the spot, but we're questioning a lot when it comes to that shareholder or stakeholder when it comes to road safety.
Yeah.
Chief Wesa Kaoma is waking up, of course, Emmanuel Chimena, to wake up and watch, all right? And Joyce Kimari is watching all the way from South Africa, says we need to get someone from the traffic department, therefore, to tell us how they deal with the rogue traffic officers who take bribe. Because what we're seeing here from the advocate on set is it is not really in the courts. The courts have played their part, where we're saying the penalties need to be a bit heavier, but you're saying there's a disconnect, therefore, from the executive arm of government, which is the police, who ensure that the enforcement is done. And thank you very much for shedding that light for us. Just as we close this, of course, Nelson Shaka. You have to say good morning to Nelson. Anasema, that is a great presentation. Advocate Chisengo Enox really opened us up. God bless you, Look Up TV, and of course, my advocate. This is a familiar person. Wamuyu Karaoke has really been, of course, open here. And Joyce Kimari has again said, good laws not being put into practice.
True.
Kenyans, okay, there we go. He's actually like, that is true. Kenyans have become so complacent to corruption, like you've mentioned, because most of the PSV drivers just give kidogo. And there you go. I'm curious. If as a passenger, I figured there's kidogo that has been given, and there's always a number asking driven well, and I decide to text or to report, is there any way a passenger would report directly, and what action would be taken for this kidogo that is given when it comes from a passenger's complaint?
There are times I use public transport, and I personally feel offended when I see the traffic police officers taking bribes without even blinking. And the driver is giving the bribe, and they drive away. So they don't inspect the vehicle. They don't check on the seat belt, because when the belts are dirty, there is a penalty. The owner of the vehicle is supposed to pay, I think, 500 per
seat belt?
Seat belt, yes. Yeah, and you can't, when you are well dressed going to work, you can't belt up using a dirty belt. No one is checking that, and the police are picking bribes, and the bribes are small amounts of money, so you can imagine.
Against the lives of Kenyans.
Against the lives of Kenyans.
It is so good to have this discussion, and of course we were talking about me filing a complaint against that SACCO as a passenger.
You can.
Is that a procedure?
There's a procedure. You can file a complaint, and the NTSA has the right to withdraw the license of the SACCO. Okay. Yes.
Amazing. As we're about to wrap up real quick, I want to appreciate Edgar Nyahururu. Anasemanga ni handsome. Anasema Nyahururu PMG. I'm sure he's saying Makolokt. Good morning. I'm curious about the Subaru boys, because usually they're really part of the conversation. And that is where I bring the overspeeding. Yeah. Today, the Subaru boy controller has not said anything, but of course, Edwin Kipkirui, good morning, Anki, tuned in, great conversation. How do we handle the overspeeding? I know in certain countries, like in the United States or something, UK, you are instantly, the machine just, it just fix it. Are there, what is there for Kenya? Besides the CCTV, which is almost never used. I know you said they're working. Yes. But does it come in as evidence? Because
for overspeeding, we have the speed guns that are used, but again, they are used selectively.
Selectively? Yeah,
they are selectively, and I don't understand why the speed guns are used where the speed limit is the lowest, maybe 50 kilometers per hour. That's where the speed guns are used. But where it's maybe 100 and below, it's not used. And if properly used, I think the way would be to warn the drivers that, hey, they put a sign and say, there is a speed gun here. Please drive within the speed limit. But not hiding somewhere and picking road users and who is doing maybe 51 kilometers in a shopping center, then you now say that they are overspeeding.
Okay.
Yeah, we have people who are overspeeding, and overspeeding is a personal responsibility. We need to just mind, because in driving school, you are taught to mind your fellow road users, the people behind you, ahead of you, besides you.
Okay.
So if you are driving at a speed that is higher than the people around you, then you are endangering your life and the life of those people.
What is the penalty?
For overspeeding.
For overspeeding.
It's a spectrum. It ranges. It's not static. So for breaking between this and this speed, there is a provision for a penalty. But for causing maybe death or reckless driving and overspeeding, I think it's 100,000.
Okay. Still, a lot of Kenyans can afford it.
Can afford it,
We
yes.
see a lot of interesting driven vehicles, which Mr. Oworotet has said are used in the farms. We're looking at VEX, we're looking at the big vehicles, which people who can afford 100,000.
Yes.
And we're looking at lives against this amount of money and penalties. We will hope to have you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We'll hope to hear more, and I know Kenyans are looking forward to having you and, of course, a road safety ambassador on the same set.
Yes.
Wamuyu Kariuki and an advocate, Mr.
Yes.
Oworotet and an advocate, because I'm sure they have direct questions, and maybe we could have a little longer time
Yes.
for your questions back at home as well, because this doesn't seem like enough time. So this is actually it. And keep talking to us at Look Up TV, hashtag The Morning Drift. Watch this live stream and also on YouTube. And tell us, what are your follow-up questions? When do you want us to come back with the legal perspective? What do you feel the Kenyan government isn't doing as well? Do you also feel we should have advocates and traffic police officers and ambassadors on one set? Because I'm looking forward to that discussion. So we have a solution to actually achieving road safety come 2022. Advocate Chisengo, Enoch, we appreciate you. I know you learned friends need to rush to take care of other wananchi situations and issues. Please come again.
Thank you so much.
What would be your last remarks?
Road safety, it's for us all, and we need to take it as personal responsibility, because you could as well lose your life or cause somebody to lose a parent or a child. So we have good laws in place, but it will take you and I to restore sanity on the roads, not just the good laws, because many are the good laws, but if the people are not able to keep those good laws, they're as good as just textbooks.
Okay.
Yes.
Just good as textbooks. Oh my goodness, thank you for that. And of course, someone is saying, sorry, someone is saying, and this is of course Mr. Oworotet, allow me to speak in this, read it as it is. It says, Yawa, producer, add us another 20 minutes. This is sweet. We will add an hour on a special day, which will be exclusive. So look out for the Arrival Live segment when we put up those posters for one big day where we have a lot of stakeholders coming in to discuss the matters road safety. Chifwesa Kaoma says, wonderful presentation. With the love from Zambia. And of course, Wamuyu Kariuki said, speed should be for improving road safety, not for corruption. Thank you, Enoch. And that's how we end this segment. See you on the next. That is the big conversation. But before I close, ADR. Can ADR work? Because that has been misused in terms of bribery. Let's discuss this out of court. Does it work for road safety?
Yes, ADR can work in every aspect of dispute, where there's a dispute. Okay. But it should be well applied, not misused, as you're saying, whereby people ask for bribe or compensation. You know, you've lost a loved one and you say, we will cater for funeral. Okay. And give you 100K, and you're good to go, because you don't have money, you will take that 100K. But we should make it more, it should be fair, and it should also be optimal to make sure that the person is well compensated.
Well compensated.
Well compensated.
And most of the times we say, please arrive alive, because we can never compensate your lives.
Very true.
So we have heard from the law, and a lot of people are saying we need an hour. So of course my producer and my executive producer have heard. Looking forward to that hour of deep talks on Arrive Alive, probably through the week, somewhere in the week. We come back with the big conversation where we get this deeper as ADR a means of resolution against arbitration in the big conversation, especially in matters that concern women. Good morning.